GM fam, what's good? Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Avatar. I'm joined today by my homie, SIMPLEZEN. What's up,
Hey guys, how's everybody?
everyone? Doing good, I hope. We're already into June, the middle of June. Crazy. Um, and today I just realized we're already into the middle of June. Today we're going to be talking about the metaverse, per usual, and just kind of chatting, getting to know. We'll get to know SimpleZen a little bit more, and I'm also going to talk a little bit about how he's going to be joining the squad and helping out with the show. So, but most of the show today, we're just going to be kind of chatting and vibing about the metaverse and what that means to us. So, what up, everybody? If you're tuning in on chat, say hi and let us know if you have any questions or any input along the way. We'll definitely be keeping track of what you guys are saying. And I guess to start things off, no, we do have an episode that you guys could go catch a replay of with SimpleZen. I feel like that was a while back, but you have to scroll a little bit. But if you want to go do a deep dive into SimpleZen, you can go catch that one. But if you want to just give people just a quick little elevator pitch of who you are, and then we'll just kind of dive on into things.
Sure. Yeah, just crypto Web3 enthusiast. Been in part of the space for since 2017. So I've seen a couple of cycles now, or I'm in the midst of a second one. And yeah, I met Crafter in the bull market in 2021, and we got working on a lot of wacky ideas in NFTs, and then started building out our own NFTs. He was always very passionate about the metaverse, as was I, and just a lot of overlapping ideas. So we've kept in touch, helped each other out a lot throughout this journey, which is an important part of Web3, the community. And I'm just really excited to be here. And I guess I figured we'd start it all back to what it's all about, which is crafters' passion, crafters' love, and what the community here is about. And it's about the metaverse. So we got an interesting show. I hope we do a good job entertaining and bringing you guys some valuable knowledge about what is the metaverse.
Oh yeah, and I mean that. Well, first off, I want to address you have been such a supportive role in my growth throughout the metaverse, and I really appreciate everything that you brought to the table along the way. A lot of people probably have no idea the amount that you've helped me along, just kind of just giving me different perspectives to look at things is really what I've leaned on you for, and also helping me gauge like how the community that we're building would take different things, because you know better than anyone probably the way that I work is I think of something and I'm like, let's fucking do that right. and that's and if you're not there to filter me, a lot of times I throw shit out there and people maybe see random stuff on Twitter or whatever that I'm thinking of, and it's kind of my way of just like thinking through things. But there is some strategy that could go into the way that things get released, and a lot of times whenever I am able to bounce things off of you, that's when things really do start to get like hashed out and we really figure out the best way forward. So that's just me showering you with a little bit of love.
Man.
I appreciate you, man, and it's good to have you back.
Thank you. Really appreciate that. And that's a really beautiful thing to say to someone. And it's really one of the best qualities about you, I think. I think that's why people are so eager to jump along this journey with you, is because of your passion and the way that you approach things. And you know what? You're a go-getter. You get something on your mind, you start doing it, you figure it out. This podcast, all the stuff, the cool stuff that you've built throughout the last couple of years is amazing. I mean, watching your growth. I met Crafter in a Discord channel, watching him stream how he was building out sandbox avatars for one of the NFTs that we were in together at the beginning. And I was like, man, wow. And self-taught, just started it, doing it. So it's something that shouldn't change about you. And I'm glad that I have the yin to your yang and help you out whenever you need a hand. So here we are doing it again, doing a dance.
100%. And I mean, those of you that have been watching this show from the very beginning. You've probably noticed it evolve as we go, and that's how everything kind of goes. But that's definitely how this show is going to go. Is
Yeah.
it's going to be a work in progress for probably forever, to be honest. Like, who knows? Maybe we'll get to a point where it's just the same thing every time for years and years. But until we get there, it's just we throw stuff out there and see how it works. And I don't know. I think that's at least that's how my creative brain works. Is I need to try things and see how they feel, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to do something if I'm not enjoying it. Um, at least I'm not going to do it consistently or show up with the right energy and good attitude and all that. So I don't know. It's just I don't know. That's just how I do things, and you know that, and everyone probably else that's listening along knows as well. So speaking of people that are listening along, if you're catching the replay, make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe, all that fun stuff. Drop a comment if you have any thoughts on what we're talking about as we go through, or if you have any ideas of anyone that you would like to see on the show next. Let me know in the comments, and I will do my best to get them on. Speaking of, we're going to plug this real quick. Speaking of, I don't have a solid date on this guest, but we will be having the one and only Sebastian Borgay. I think I probably butcher his name. I got to figure out how to say that before he comes on. But but yeah, he's going to be coming on, CEO and co-founder of the Sandbox, sometime in August. So
that's huge, man. Congrats.
That's going to be awesome to have him on and chat him up and just kind of get behind the avatar of him, because I know there's tons of interviews out there of him, but as most interviews go, they're very surface level and just talking about what topic is at hand, really. And that's not really, I mean, we do that a little bit on the show, but I always like to dive deeper and just really get to know the person. So looking forward to that, and letting you guys get to know him a little bit better, and learn, hopefully also learn more about what they're building in the Sandbox, because obviously me and a lot of viewers really do enjoy what they've been doing with the Sandbox, but we also would like to know more about where they're going with everything. So that's going to be fun. But that's a story for another day. Today, we are just going to kind of chat about the metaverse and what that means to us and all that fun stuff. So I guess like the first thing that comes to mind when I think about the metaverse is Ready Player One, and I feel that like that's normal.
I knew you were gonna go there.
Yeah.
Love that.
And I mean that's always where my head goes.
It's a great start.
It really is. Like I love the book. I've listened to the book on audio a couple times, and that I'm not great at reading it. It takes me forever to read things. I think it's because I have ADD of some sort and just cannot focus on the words. But audiobooks, love them. I do read a lot, but it just takes me a long time. So I highly recommend the audiobook of Ready Player One. If you haven't listened to it, it's super good, and it's read by I think his name is Will Wheaton. I don't know who that is, but I really like his voice, and the person that recommended it to me recommended it because he was reading it and he really liked him. No, I didn't know who he was, but I just was like, oh, that's awesome. I can't wait to hear it. And when I listened to it, he did a really good job. So anyways, Ready Player One is definitely like the movie more so is kind of where my head goes when I like start to like visualize what the metaverse is going to be like. And unfortunately, I feel like that is a long time away before we get to a world that's that immersive and that open. But that's the goal, right? I think anyways, and I would be interested to hear your thoughts. But like I do think that getting to a point where obviously we don't want to be doing it in a shitty little shack that's stacked on top of a bunch of other shacks in a dystopian future. But getting to a point where people do log in and just spend a lot of time in there, and
Oh yeah.
and then when I bring that up, that brings up another topic that we can segue to eventually. But like just the idea of spending so much time online always gets to me, because I love doing stuff outside, and I love being active and and all that jazz. But I also love playing video games.
Oh, it's compelling. It's compelling to be inside and to be on here and to do the things. And I think what you were talking about with the future of it, it becomes really difficult to distinguish the difference, really, when you're that immersed. I mean, you're outside, you're racing a car, you're doing,
right.
So it probably will be harder, but a small point you're making before I guess want to bring it to where I think we could start this conversation would be interesting, is that we are at the beginnings of this is the metaverse in a very general term. We're online in a shared space, interacting and using it to, you're in Texas, I'm in New York, and there's a medium that we can see each other and manipulate a little bit, voice, video, and all that stuff. So I see it in some level, but as a maturity, I obviously know, and where we're going there, I don't know what that'll be like. I hope on this episode our wacky, weird ideas will draw everyone in, and they'll be like, no, that's not what it's going to be like, or yeah, that's totally what it's like. But I thought maybe I could bring up a few definitions of what people think the metaverse is. I mean, Webster's Dictionary, Wikipedia, and then I have a really funny one from Oxford that I thought should give us a groundwork. It's similar to what you said. I don't think it's anything more so, but it gives us a framework to work from to try to pull it apart and see where we're at with what the metaverse is. So you mind if I read a few of these?
Not at all. I would love it.
Okay, cool. So let me just start with the basic ones. That way our viewers can get like a general overview. I got Wikipedia here. And so let's see, actually, this is a longer definition. The term metaverse originated in 1992, which I think a lot of people know, was in a science fiction novel named Snow Crash. And that was the merging of two words, meta and universe. So very easy to derive there, the metaverse. And then so Webster's Dictionary, which is the American version, has a very simple, a persistent virtual environment that allows access to and interoperability of multiple individual virtual realities. And then I wanted to read this one, which I thought was really funny. So in 2022, last year, Oxford has a word of the year. I didn't know this, but as I was researching this came up. It's going to go a little off track, and then we'll get back to the metaverse. But last year's first winner, which was voted on by 300,000 people to include, a little thing about, was actually goblin mode. That was the number one word that people, the expression that reflecting the ethos of the time, which meant often using the expression as a type of behavior which is unapologetically self-indulgent, lazy, greedy, and typically in a way that rejects social norms or expectations. But the second runner-up, the word was metaverse. And the term metaverse describes a hypothetical virtual reality environment in which users interact with one another's avatars and their surroundings in an immersive way, sometimes posited as a potential extension or replacement of the internet, World Wide Web, social media. So the first recorded use of the metaverse was in the Oxford English Dictionary in 1992 because of Snow Crash. And then until late 2021, the word was relatively unused. But by October of 2022, it started increasing almost fourfold from the previous year. And the increase can be attributed to the name of the social media conglomerate Facebook, but also because it is Web3, virtual, NFT, crypto, and build and envision. So basically everything that we're doing has really helped kind of bring this up to speed. I mean, it was not something, this is new in our lexicon, essentially. This is 2022 word of the year. Has a very short history. I know a lot of people have a very clear definition for it, which I appreciate, but I think we're still unpacking a lot of this stuff. And so I hope we could use some of the things we said, or maybe go back to kind of see where that is right now, where that will be in the future, and what does that mean for the larger picture here, I guess. That's a little background, the history of the word metaverse, what I guess popular culture believes it to be, and now what we think of this term and what it's going to be.
Yeah, I when was Snow Crash? That was
92.
92.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like even that is not that long ago. I mean, it was 2 years after I was born, but so that means I'm young.
Yeah, it depends how you look at it. Some people say it's old, some people say it's young.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. I'm gonna go with it's not
it's
that
young.
long ago, and I'm young.
Good.
But I feel like I wish I could like see all of those like stacked next to each other. But like I feel like the common um, sentiment of all those was, well, obviously that it's a virtual world, and that multiple people are interacting
Mm-hmm.
in that virtual world together. And I think that aspect where multiple, I think the term is concurrent users or concurrent players or whatever, um, like that's, from my understanding, going to be one of the biggest hurdles, is allowing for basically the world to interact in a world that gets changed potentially. I would imagine that's where we would go, where if you chop down a tree in this metaverse, that tree has to fall for everyone.
Mm.
And that's, at least that's like the way that I picture the metaverse.
So as one big giant open world. So because this is a good distinction to make. I don't know if people have clearly defined. I think a lot of people want to see it as one uniform thing. And then there was a word in there that we are very familiar with, interoperability, which
Mhm.
means, okay, you're in one place chopping down a tree, but doesn't affect the next place because it's a different, software, different world, so to speak. But is that still not part of the metaverse? And I'm using quotes for the people that can't see that because it's still part of this definition of a virtual reality shared space, augmented reality type deal, however you want to define it. So, I guess the question here is it ultimately leading to just one world or many worlds? That's a really
Mhm.
important, I think, distinction to make.
Yeah, yeah.
Very
And
confusing.
I like the world analogy, or planets. I think a lot of times I could talk about it as planets, but basically the way that I picture it is the metaverse is like the galaxy. And then right now, for example, I'm just going to use these three as example planets because they're three of the more relevant ones right now: Decentraland, Sandbox, and the other side. So the way that my head works is that the metaverse is the galaxy, and then the other side, Sandbox, Decentraland, are all planets inside that galaxy.
Mhm.
And the interoperability that you were speaking of then comes in, where you can travel from planet to planet and bring all of your stuff with you from each of
Wow.
those planets, and use it in each of those planets. And in my opinion, I think that that interoperability can even be um, skewed a little bit, where, say I have, just for example's sake, I have a sword, and that sword in the Sandbox looks like, I don't know, a big dick, just for sake of example. And so my sword is a big dick, and in the Sandbox. But whenever I go over to, I mean, I should have probably said the other side because that's probably more accurate of how the things will plan out in the other side. But say I bring it over to that big dick over to the Decentraland, and in Decentraland, that same asset that is in my wallet is now interpreted by their planet as, I don't know, a car,
Pickle. Yeah.
or a pickle. Like it could be like just that simple thing.
It's censored
It's,
basically. Let's say
it's
like
censored.
censored a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or it could just translate to to a completely different item.
Object, yeah.
But I think either way, I think that still is interoperability. It's just different ways to approach it. And I think that each planet kind of should be able to decide how they interpret things, because it's going to, at least for a long time, it's going to be tough to make it that you can literally bring that dick sword everywhere and it looks the same everywhere, and functions the same. It has the same perks and all that stuff that comes with it. So I think that's probably what we'll end up seeing first, is all of these games, essentially, planets is what I'll label them, kind of coming up with their own rules, and hopefully there's some sort of rule base that everyone kind of abides by. And I know there's a lot of different groups out there that are working on kind of open source standardization kind of stuff that goes over my head, but I would love to learn more about it eventually. But anyways, that's kind of how I picture the metaverse, is
one giant
galaxy with a bunch of planets in it.
So in essence, I mean, it reminds me a little bit of what the internet is. The internet is one giant galaxy in your metaphor, and then you have all the different, websites, pages, different things. So kind of that way. And I don't claim to be an expert in this field. I definitely would defer to you, but I kind of have an inkling that it will be more fragmented than that. And so I get the galaxy thing. So it makes sense that it'd be like one giant operating system, sort of, kind of, I guess. But I do still think the metaverse will be many worlds within just computing in general. Like the branch, or the bigger thing will be the computing. It doesn't have to be the same infrastructure, though. I don't know if like they need to run the same server for it to be the metaverse. I still think if you go into Apple's augmented reality versus Meta's, you're still using the internet, and I guess that kind of branches in somewhat the same. But maybe you're right. I'm starting to like think about it. Maybe that is just like planets, kind of, because you have to use the internet, right? The only kind of thing we have. But I wonder if AI is going to kind of help branch it out more and break it up into more components than one singular active thing. Because I feel like you can define a galaxy. You can say it's these cluster of stars, this formation. Then when you go to the universe, it's a little more infinite, a little bit bigger, and it's kind of hard to grasp what starts and what ends. So I have a little bit of an idea of it kind of being more nebulous than concrete, as what the metaverse is. And even now, I feel that way.
So you think that it would be more, or even more broad, that it would be like universe?
Yeah, anything to do with not necessarily code, I guess virtual reality, if you want to call it. But even like in the metaverse, it's going to be interesting, because you may have abilities that you don't have here, that like infrared or something. You can see in infrared. You don't have those senses here, but you'd have it in the other world and stuff. So I think you're going to be seeing things you haven't seen before. It's really going to be over your head. And so I just don't think it's going to really bleed into real life more so than anyone really gives credit for. And I'm already starting to sense like part of the metaverse too will be us interacting with our AI, and like some avatars, like there's the Turing test. So we're going to be in a very weird position where we don't know if we're talking to a human person. That you're going to have the goggles on, it's going to be a whole thing. And I just think it's really going to blur the lines of what it is. Because now I think people are doing their best guesswork with what we have, and that's all you can do, to say, okay, I saw a tweet under that we need infrastructure for this thing and all this. But as it changes, I think it'll get so much more massive than we can comprehend, and it'll change in a way that it's just going to be bigger and broader term. And metaverse is bridging universe and meta, which is beyond our world. It's just beyond our world, I would assume. And so it's really non-defined. That's my argument that I guess I'm making here, is I don't think it'll be so clear cut what the metaverse is. You can't point to it and be like, it's that galaxy. It's a
Yeah.
totality of everything, code and human and everything in between. It's going to be wild.
So I guess, like, to expand on my thought process, it would be, I mean, I'm kind of buying into what you're saying, but the metaverse would be the universe, then Facebook or Meta and Apple and the Sandbox and the Decentraland and the other side. All these different people are going to have their Fortnite, Roblox. Like, I could go on and on, but they're all going to have their own galaxies then,
right?
And inside each of their galaxies will be planets, which will be the different games that people have created for.
Yeah, that's a lot more, like, because you can define those things. What is Roblox? What is those? Like, you can say, okay, that's where that ends. But like, what if some people, like, in the metaverse only go to concerts or want to go hiking, and then I don't know, that still defines it, but it's all under that branch, under that universal term. Like, how do you define the universe? All the stuff and everything, and that's kind of where I feel like we're going with the metaverse when we say metaverse, because it's been hard. I think Facebook, they even alluded to that in the definition there, that I think they screwed it up a little bit. They monopolized, they capitalized capitalistic maneuver of like, this is what the metaverse is. No. It's not that one singular definition. I think it really has a broader, much broader stroke. And we're only scratching the surface today. And obviously all the, experts out there, I'm curious to hear what they have to say. But from a creative perspective, that's how I feel about it. And it gets me really excited. I mean, it's very exciting. When you started with Ready Player One, I mean, it's every little kid's fantasy to, put on the goggles and drive a car at 16. You could drive a car at 5 because whatever, right? You can be anyone, do anything. And I'm bringing a different point. I don't know if we hit this now or want to talk about it later, but I have a theory that I think anonymity is going to be a very big pendulum swing back. We've kind of just came through a culture of exposing ourselves, which is great. A lot of content creators, but I think people are going to want some of that back. And the metaverse is going to be this amazing place to kind of be who you want to be, seeing how you want to see. You don't have to bring yourself into it. And I think it's going to bring what NFTs have been doing and why it's so closely associated with the Web3 crypto culture. I think it's going to be, anonymous is going to be a big pendulum swing back that gets this whole thing going. And people be like, oh, I get all this now. Everything's really clicking. And we're getting into what it's going to be like. Because that's, we're pseudo-anonymous right now, right? So we've developed these personalities.
Right.
Why didn't we just go right into it? Because you test the waters. You're in this whole new space. You don't know if you want this to interact with your regular world and stuff.
IRL. Yeah.
So
it is interesting that it's very interesting now that I start thinking about it, that there's very few people that I know in the Web3 space that go by their name. Very few. Maybe 5. I mean, obviously there's probably more, but like I could maybe think
it's more of the exception than the rule. I agree with you for sure.
Which is wild, but I mean it's kind of,
it's underground, and everything that's underground eventually becomes the majority. And so there was a time where people like privacy too, and then we just got into a culture, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's always, everything swings in cycles. But I think after this, and you see people getting burnt out with their personalities always being judged, because if you're a content creator, you're still a character. That's not you. But people are blurring that line, and it becomes easier to disassociate when you can become crafter, the world destroyer in Roblox, SIMPLEZEN, the Buddhist monk at top of whatever. You can just live out that fantasy. I think that's what we're pulling back into and seeing with the metaverse, is bringing back. And that's, again, why I think the term, I'll make this argument all night because now I'm expounding my own thoughts, is it's much broader, because it's going to allow people to do all the things. There's going to be no singular way. It's really going to even take on reality and blur that as well for us by a lot, because people are going to be, as you said at the beginning of the statement, in there more and more and more. And that does become a part of who you are. So where do we start distinguishing where the line of the metaverse begins and where it ends. That's my big thesis, is that it's going to really blur us out.
Yeah, it is going to blur, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Like, obviously, I don't mind showing my face, and neither do you, and neither do a lot of people in the space now. But it'll be interesting because I'm sure it'll kind of, like you said, it'll kind of pendulum back and forth about how people feel about it. But like blending or blurring the IRL metaverse life, like how, like, some people for sure are gonna not want anyone to know who they are when they're, when
they're trolls abound, man. They're everywhere. There's people,
But
for sure.
But there's also gonna be lots of people like you and me that like to, like, I like when I run into people at conferences or whatever, and they're like, "Dude, fucking crafter, what's up?" It's like, oh, shit, who are you? I've never even seen your face, and then they tell me their screen name or their pseudonym. Like, oh, okay, fuck yeah, I know you. I see you all over Twitter.
Exactly. Well, that's so onto our like topic. Is this also is something I don't think is given enough credit. I really think we're in the infancy of the metaverse right now. I mean, 100%. You just nailed it on the head. You're talking to someone, you're interacting with them. It's augmented. You didn't even know them. You heard their voice, and they could have used a voice changer for all I know. It doesn't really matter, right? You've seen those things in crypto all the time. But and you meet them in real life, and they're part of the metaverse. They're part of a broader scope of reality that's digital. And so that combination, digital and reality, is now beginning to come together. I think that's a better way of putting it. Digital meets reality, and then no line, no galaxy line, no nothing. There will be in there, but the term is going to be massive. It's going to be part of our reality, part of our universe, part of everything. I mean, maybe that's very ambitious, very grand, but I cannot imagine it going any other way. I already see the AI revolution bleeding into this strongly. Games. Were you going to say something? I don't know.
No, I mean,
looked like a thought on your mind.
Well, I'm writing it down, so don't worry about it.
Okay. So I did see it. I'm not crazy.
No,
you did got see a thought. Yeah. Go for it. We got time.
Well, I didn't want to
jump on in, man. From a New Yorker, you got to jump in sometimes.
What we're talking about, but so that's why I have a notepad, because anytime something pops in.
That's a great idea, by the way, and I'm gonna probably steal that right now, because I'm sure I'm intently listening as well, but it's good to just have stuff that maybe comes up.
You never know, like, what's gonna come up in these conversations, and I don't like derailing what we're currently talking about to be like, oh wait, I want to talk about this, but I always want to be able to circle back. So that's why I do it.
For sure.
But since I derailed it with my facial expression, the reason I did is because I was trying to think of what I was going to write down, because I thought of this earlier, because you brought this up earlier.
Okay.
And then you said it again, is AI. So AI in the metaverse is going to be very interesting, because I've already seen it play out. I forget who was testing it, but there's a game company out there that's testing it, and what they're testing is basically a game where, like a role play game, an RPG, where you, instead of selecting on screen what your answer is, you speak into a microphone to talk to the game, and the game responds based off of your input, and then the entire game is changed based off of your conversations throughout the game. And
is that Skyrim by any chance? I saw a mod similar. They did that in a Skyrim mod.
I don't think it was Skyrim.
It's a new game.
I would remember if it was Skyrim, but I can't remember. I'll have to try and search. If I find the tweet, I'll definitely.
It's to your point though about the weirdness of AI being so close, and to our point of digital meeting reality. So how do you draw the line there, where like that space ends when you don't talk to that robot, or when you're not in there, I guess. But if it's so closely related to our money, our monetary system, it has an effect, and we come out here, the AI will eventually be able to interact with our world through us. That's something people aren't thinking about. And that idea that the metaverse was introduced in '92, pretty much disappeared except for small circles, and now is resurfacing in a crazy trajectory. I think people haven't even come to the repercussions of merging AI into this discussion yet. I'm sure very few people have really thought about how to include that in there too. Because now I'm looking out through my glasses. I have this, assistant bot. We were talking about before we went on air how cool it would be if they could do this and that. And if this assistant, this AI can see everything you're doing too, it's interacting with the world here as well as, it'll see your computer screen, it'll see the buttons, it'll see everything. So I just think that's very interesting layer to what the metaverse is. I think that's a big part going forward that every definition is going to have to carry is AI and eventually AGI, which, that's a big leap forward. I don't know if we're ready for that or if I don't think that's close, but certainly at this level, AI is here. So we're definitely dealing with another layer to the metaverse equation. It's not just us with virtual reality, but us virtual reality plus these language models that we're making and these different computer programs that we're running in there.
Right. I've heard, I don't know why, if I'm just blanking on it, and maybe I'll know exactly what it is whenever you explain, but what's the difference between AGI and AI?
Roughly speaking, it's just artificial general intelligence, which would be similar to us, where it thinks for itself. It's kind of conscious, and AI, which is it's like a model built upon what we have.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So
yeah.
Once you said that, kind of triggered. Like I've heard somebody explain it as like a conscious AI versus
right, because it's very deceiving. What you already put as an example, which is okay, you talk to a computer simulation model, and then it gives you a choice based on that, but it's not doing that on its own creative free will or whatever. That's a whole nother discussion for another topic, free will, AI, agency. But that's just more like it passes the Turing test, where I don't think we're able to distinguish it from us, except that, hey, come over my house next week. And it's like, well, all right, you got to put your guy. Wait, what?
Yeah.
You're an AGI this whole time, man. I thought you were my homie.
Yeah. Think about those. Oh man, we'll get there eventually.
It's gonna get weird like that, man. You've seen the movie Her.
Yeah, sure have. You're gonna start getting catfished by
AGI.
the computer, and
yep.
But the crazy thing is like you said, if you are really into whoever that person was, you could just put on your goggles and have them come over and they'd still be in the room with you.
Yeah, they'd still be.
It'd be crazy that we're going to get to that point.
I mean, technically you're in the room with me right now. I mean, you're here, you're present. It's pretty nuts. The next step for you and I is those goggles, and then we'll be sitting in a virtual, like I'll be sitting in a chair, but it'll look like you're in the room with me. Can't wait till we do those interviews, right?
I can't fucking wait till we can do those interviews, because like to your point, yes, like we're in the room together, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
Like I would love to be able to do every single one of these interviews in person, but like that's just not going to be possible for the amount, like how spread out everyone is. Like obviously, like maybe eventually we'll get to a point where we have a budget that we can fly people in or whatever, but we probably won't have to, because from what I'm hearing is people that have experienced the AR that is still obviously getting developed, but there is stuff out there that you really do feel like you're sitting on the couch next to somebody,
right?
And like in the same room, and I mean it almost feels like you could reach out and touch them like that. That'll change the game for podcasting like this specifically, because then it will feel like you're in person, and it'll just maybe, I don't know, who knows.
You'll define the metaverse more, because in 9 out of 10 definitions that you find on the internet, prerequisite for the definition is augmented or virtual reality. And so that aspect is here in the most basic sense, but not really. So it's just a conceptualization. I still agree with that. It's or maybe the first step from conceptualization to like executing, but not quite. That's an important key, I think, to the metaverse finding its shape, so to speak, in everyday life. Because I would say that a lot of people, listening, hopefully they they're caught up with this, but for a lot of people are not in regular society. Metaverse. I mentioned a few people today I was passing that I was going to be on here talking about this, and they're like, "Yeah, I heard that, but what is that exactly?" And so this is the point of us doing this is just spreading a little bit of awareness of a massive shift. We don't have to get this right. Anybody that says they have the definition of metaverse now, it's going to be changed in 5 years. So it's just opening this discussion for this augmented reality that's going to become extremely interconnected with reality. And that is a fact. People see that whether they know the term metaverse or not. You can spit those facts out about people spending more time virtually and stuff. And so it's not a stretch of the imagination to now jump into a universe, a metaverse that is really intoxicating, encompassing with all the sensory, visual experiences.
But,
That's
I
what
mean,
really makes it a metaverse.
Yeah, and that really, when we get to that point, that's where I get the goosebumps about people getting too sucked in, where they really don't do anything but be in the metaverse. And because I mean, think about. I mean, I'm guilty as a lot of people, but I know there's a lot of people that spend a lot more time there. But think about how much time people spend sitting at their desk, staring at Twitter, and scrolling through Twitter and engaging, interacting, or
There's
whatever.
a word for it too. I mean, it's not just Twitter scrolling, but like doom scrolling, right? Because I think we're breaching a little bit on the negative side here of the potential effects of this.
Sure.
But doom scrolling in the metaverse would be, you basically let yourself go in real life for your avatar that's whatever 7 foot tall and whatever
handsome,
crazy
chiseled jaw,
some alien that whatever.
Yeah.
But that could be very intoxicating. It's introducing a whole new level of drug. That's definitely a different. I think we should definitely do a podcast on that too. I think we can bring in a lot of good discussion around the metaverse at large, the effects of the metaverse. But yeah, I don't want to go too much into that because that's like into like morality and
that's a
neurotransmitter. Yeah, we're talking some. I agree with you that it will bring on tons of positive, tons of. I mean, everyone's even doing that with AI right now. It's funny that AI is really kind of. It's not funny. It's natural because ChatGPT is such a phenomenon that it really put people onto it. But it like trumped the metaverse, Web3, which was the it thing for so fast. And what people are failing to see, and if you're listening at this point, you're going to start making these connections. They are connected as well. Yeah, these are 100%. Intersecting things, and even in one of the definitions from one of these main reputable places of dictionary or whatever, I don't know what you want to call that, to define a word, are saying that this is a huge overlap with Web3, crypto, NFTs, and all those things are starting to lock into place where we're seeing these things create the metaverse before our very eyes. The metaverse is, right now, these definitions are really poor at even describing what it currently is and what I think ultimately it will be. I think that's why this conversation has been so much fun, and you can really go on forever because it's really hard to pin it down. And the second you do, there's so much more to discuss and to unpack there.
Yeah. I think, there's so much to discuss and unpack. I feel like we're going to have to do maybe every once in a while, maybe once a month or something. We just have me and you have a metaverse conversation and break down something. And because I really like, I mean, I love all of the guests that we have on, but I really like being able to think through my thoughts, and I don't want to like always do that with people whenever they're on, but I
that would defeat the purpose of your show. I think it's great. Right. You all open the show too with using me as a sounding board, which I think is great. So it's more back and forth. But I think it's important for people like yourself. You're going to get a lot of great little sound bites out of this.
For sure.
Process. And one of the things that I hope I didn't forget this thought, because it was just your passion is what is drawing people into this community anyway. And it's an early community in a much larger segment that is going to become completely normalized. So we're the outcasts right now doing this podcast. And in 5 years' time, obviously anything can happen. We can lose interest, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But generally speaking, everyone will understand why we're so imaginative about it, why we're so passionate about it, and why we even bothered to spill so much love into it. And so the people here listening and educating themselves and ourselves, I mean, the great thing about this question was I came in with like, okay, he's going to teach me something. I'm going to teach myself something. And I'm going to redefine what I think based on the information I get. Maybe I keep everything the same. Maybe I add some things, but that's what we need to do in this space, is because it is so rapidly evolving and changing. Yeah, go ahead, because I have a segue after.
That is the name of the game. Like, if you're participating, which you are, if you're watching this, if you're participating in this Web3 world right now, the name of the game is being open to learning and having conversations like this and adjusting. You don't have to always, and I hope you don't, just always buy in 100% with what anyone is saying, but you do want to take in what they're saying, think through it, and if it is an actual conversation, obviously you're going to do that. But even if you're just listening in on the conversation, take in the information, digest it, and let that morph your belief a little bit. Even if it doesn't change, maybe it makes you believe more of what you already believe, and you don't believe what they were saying, like, still. But I think that's what holds the growth here back, is when people fall into that, where the echo chamber of just the same stuff over and over again. And it's, I don't know, that's just always going to happen.
Specifically to the metaverse's point, is you're going to have metaverse maxis. I mean, this is a great segue to this. Like, you already see it in our space, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever, part of a much larger picture. But people want to say, nope, Bitcoin's the end of the line, motherfucker. Like, that's it. That's what we're doing. Or Ethereum, that's like the future. And it's all incorrect. And that's where I love inviting those people, because passion, like those types of people, do inform you in ways that if you listen, there is stuff to be distilled. But you have to know that anyone that comes with you and says, I have the answers, again, entertain, but realize that it's ever changing. And that's part of the excitement of this space. So you need to learn for yourself, and you need to move on with whatever it is. I think I told you this one point, someone I knew introduced, when BlackBerry was big, there was a BlackBerry maxi that my mom was working with, and she had invested in Apple, but the person was so gung-ho about BlackBerry that it swayed completely. And, listen to yourself sometimes and adjust, like, take those people in. But you need to, about metaverses too, is it's going to be, people are going to tell you what the metaverse is. Don't limit yourself to what it is. Explore what it can be. That's the full circle message I was trying to make. I went off on a tangent about stocks. Who cares? Is that don't listen to anyone right away. It's not defined. You have a place in this space. Figure it out for yourself. Crafters are saying how good it is for him to hear himself talk it out. So listen to other people, then talk to people about it, and find out what that thing is to you. And to me, to keep it on topic, is it's really shape-shifting, boundless, and much bigger than we're anticipating. That's just my core thesis on the metaverse. It's not anything mind-blowing, but that's just how I feel on the onset of this thing. Obviously, as things go, it'll change.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's important that it changes. And I love how you said that explore what it can be. That's very, very important to do, is to explore what it can be. Don't be satisfied with what it is and what your beliefs are. Like, explore all of it, because
all the options.
There's so much to it.
NFTs were a great intro to this for us, and now it's easy for us to accept metaverse, because I think even when you and I met, Sandbox, that was your thing right from the get-go. So you guys are in great hands. I mean, this guy's been, before Sandbox was cool, it still isn't necessarily
I
cool,
mean,
cool.
whoever you talk to is still not cool, but
and to the CEO, no disrespect, it's gonna be massive. But back then, I don't think I had any real understanding of the metaverse, but I did get a hold of NFTs, and that was informing me, to the next step and introducing me. That overlap is always there, and so you have to kind of look to see what makes sense and what else can fit in there. Because I think a lot of times people, when they do get that narrow focus, they miss on all the other opportunities that come along with it, with what else is going to be included in this um, hypothetical universe that is going to be virtual and reality, just to keep harping in what the combination of things is. So it's really, I think the definitions are good, that the way that they are. And of course, we have to have some landing spot. It can't just be this nebulous, ever-changing thing. I understand. I think even the websites that we did at the beginning, they have a really great way of explaining what it is to the layman's person. But the important part is to investigate the metaverse, and that's what we're here to do. I mean, each and every week, hopefully, and obviously the people listening at home, that's what they love to do. This whole space is exciting to them. So, yeah.
And I'm every week, I just realize how spoiled I am, because I mean, I'm one of you. Everyone that's listening right now, I'm literally one of you. Like I fucking love the metaverse, and I love learning about it. And I am fortunate enough to have this show that people are willing to come on and talk to me about what they're doing in it and pick their brains and learn. And it's I've learned so much over the last few months of doing this. I don't even know how many months we've been doing it, but like, it's just, I'm so lucky, because I am, like I said, I'm one of you. I would be consuming this podcast if it was somebody else doing it. I already consume multiple podcasts of other people that are doing similar things. I still have not found one that's really, really, really focused on the metaverse like I'm trying to do. So hopefully this takes traction. But if there's anything else out there that you guys are listening to, I'd love to hear about those in the comments too. Because, like I said, and like we were saying, it's important to bring in as much of the information as you can and digest it and form your own opinions around it. Do your own research. Like that, I know that's just a cliche, almost taboo thing to say now, because do your own research back in the day meant just double check that your friends aren't getting all of their assets stolen by connecting to that site. And if they're not, then you might as well connect it to it.
You're good.
So, like that's what do your own research amounted to back then. But like it really should mean take in the information that whoever is putting it out there, the team behind the project you're looking at, or just the metaverse in general, and take in all that information and digest it and be like, is this something that I'm excited about, or is this something that I think is true too, kind of thing. So yeah, I think explore what it can be. I love that.
Keep that, and definitely you put that up, a little clip there. I think in the future too, we could definitely bring people in afterwards when we have these, once we have enough going. I think it's like we discuss, and then all the sponges in here that we love to see every week have open floor at the end with us, so we kind of go on a little guitar solo, so to speak, and just kind of play with them and then see what they had to think about it and add to the conversation in a way, because this is a great place, and it was always on your mind to do it that way. And maybe a good segue to what I'm doing here is that I'm going to hopefully be providing value to the show each and every week, helping Crafter just make the show better each week. What that means, well, we'll leave it up to not only us but the people participating. I think that's a huge ethos that we really, really gelled on. And I wanted to emphasize the word "we." Is we have a similar understanding, him and I, about what we love about this space and why it's important to us. So that's, I think, why we just gel, is because we're on the same mission. Sometimes our lives don't allow us to be there because, well, there is real life and not just the
Because there is
metaverse.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But every time without hesitation, I'm like, yes, I want to be in on what you're doing, or he wants to be in what I'm doing. And so we hope that you guys can see that, feel that, and then cultivate your own relationships inside of this, whether it's with us, with other people, because I think that's the most exciting thing is the metaverse and us. It's going to connect us. It's really connecting all of us in a much more a deeper way. Right now, as you said, it's cool that him and I are here, but there's going to be a point where we're doing this show and we're going to be in a virtual studio sitting, and you guys are going to be in the audience, and someone's going to step up and pour a drink on us and be like, "Oh, Randy, what are you doing, man?" And his little troll action. We're going to have to delete him with a flick of a finger or whatever it is.
Yes.
But it'll be fun every step of the way.
A boop poker that I can poke people with and then disappear.
Yeah. Because we've already thrown on that. I think people underestimate us. We had like a little treasure hunt in the metaverse. We're very early here, but we're very passionate, very excited. We spent many nights putting together lots of plans and things going on. So there's a lot of love here for all the things that are coming around the corner. And I think people that stick around, will be the people that feel the same way. So hopefully that's what I'm here to do, and then bring some of that energy and just ideas. We're going to do a lot of cool stuff and a lot of terrible stuff and everything in between, but hopefully bring value to you guys.
Yeah, and if you are somebody that loves the metaverse and you're looking for someplace to hang out and chat about metaverse stuff specifically, because as you can tell, we both are crazy about it, and I know that there's tons of communities out there that you probably are a part of, but if you're looking for someplace to, and I'll talk to you about anything too if you just want to come and vibe, but metaverse specifically, definitely check out our Discord. Links are going to be in the description, and if you're watching live, you can go to my link in my bios or whatever, and you'll be able to find it. But hop in our Discord, and I'm always checking it. So if you ever have anything that you want to chat about and pick my brain, or vice versa, because I would love to learn from you guys when you're in there too. So definitely come on by.
Yeah, you and I got to definitely do something, because we have a great Discord that specifically you built out. But I love being a part of that. I think in time that's going to be a great launch point for everyone. It's like the docking station for all the freaks going out into the metaverse. Like, I'm jumping in here, I'm going here.
Yeah, and I just envision it being a place for just a bunch of metaverse freaks, like you're saying, that just hang out and chat about all the cool stuff that they see coming in the metaverse, and eventually, whenever the metaverse is more built out and we can hop into places. I mean, Sandbox is close. I'm sure Other Side is going to be right around the corner. But it'll be a great place just to come by and meet up with some of the homies and be like, hey, let's go explore or play something in the Other Side or the Sandbox or whatever. So come on by, because that's what's going to be going on. So
yeah, links definitely in there. Check that out. Segue. This is for you to check out after you get off here. I'm sure we'll talk after anyway, but it was about a video game I saw that is called Starfield. I think that's the name. Let me double check that that's the correct thing. I'm Jamie myself. No, Starfield. It's a new game. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, look, this looks about right. Starfield's upcoming action role-playing beta soft and published by. Man, I hope this is the one. But let me look at it, because now that I feel like I'm pot committed. Is it out yet? 3 days ago. It's basically you go to all these different worlds and they're hyper realistic. It's crazy. It's you can interact with the entire environment. There's like Mars-like environments, Earth-like environments, places with aliens, and it's pertinent to what we're talking about, because it's metaverse in this weird sense. It's one large world, but there's planets and galaxies inside. I mean, it's your actual metaphor as a game, and it's a massive multiplayer online game.
And it's like being played right now.
It's coming out soon, and that's something that now I'm connecting all that. Our Discord can be a great launching point too. Is a gaming corner where we all jump out into these MMOs and games. It's hard because everyone's got their own flavor, but something like that could make a lot of sense, because it's going to be so close to what AR and VR look like anyway. I don't know if it's necessarily specifically for the headset kind of video game, but very immersive, very like you're in a world and everything, the environment moves and does stuff, and
Yeah.
everything affects everything. So
Um,
interconnected.
I get so lost already in even when I'm exploring games inside of the sandbox, which I mean, I I honestly I've come to really enjoy the graphics and the voxel style for a
It's
long
high
time.
art.
Yeah, seriously, it is, and
Yeah,
it's
it's truly
you
beautiful though.
you can you can get lost in it. Like it's something that like when I'm exploring different games and stuff, I find myself getting lost. So the reason I'm saying that is whenever we get to the point where I can put on some goggles and walk around a world with a bunch of other people that are like
That
feels like they're
sandbox would
right.
be cool too, with the VR. I think they're definitely that's
They
something
have
that
to
has to
figure out
see it
some
out.
way
That's got
to
to be
support that,
alpha that
right?
you gotta
I'm
pull
gonna
out of
try
the,
because
you
I've
know,
always wondered, and they don't really have anything out there that talks
get your
about.
get your sand now, ladies and gentlemen, because when Crafter talks to this guy, do your own research, not financial advice. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Uh,
pump the
but
floor.
But no,
Well, I
so
guess
that would
not
be
the floor.
cool. That's actually, I think, why people are so drawn to sandbox and that kind of style specifically is the building aspect of it. I don't know why that language of or style of game really lends itself to creativity and world building.
Hmm.
Maybe because it is simpler and that allows people to engage easier than Unreal 3 or whatever other engines that are building
Right.
out different things. But yeah, it has that started with like Minecraft and other things and a nostalgic feel to it, but it still looks really freaking cool. There's
Hmm.
something about that really draws you in.
And
Um,
it's also interesting because, and I don't know if it's because we grew up on Legos or if
ooh,
Legos are also triggering something in our brain
primal, like
that
influencing us.
that we enjoy. Because
It's
I like Legos and I really like building in the sandbox, and it's very like not the same, but it's very like it's modular
for the
and
term, it's building blocks, right? It's Tetris.
right,
It's
right.
you're piecing those things together so you can build it. I don't think that's how other. I'm not a coder or a game guy myself, but I imagine that visual aspect to it allows people to use their minds as is. You don't have to kind of learn some other way of design or whatever else is necessary to compete in the spaces. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
we should definitely do that. I would love to see us in there and Discord up and try to jump in there a little more often, see what we can get rolling. I think
yeah,
today was
and
a
then
great start for the conversation about
100%.
what it is.
Yeah, for sure. I Web 2, Web 3. I wanted to circle back to this.
Yeah,
Web 2, Web 3. Do you think, and I think we are already kind of addressed this, but I just want to go deeper on it. Do you think that we're already in the metaverse?
oh
Because
yeah,
I feel like we've been in the metaverse for a long
yes.
time, and I mean, it's almost like we've been being groomed to,
Yeah, that's a really good way to
to
put it.
adopt the metaverse as something that should happen, which
For the
is also circling back to the moralities and everything. But
Yeah, but for the conspiracy theorists out there, and I'm guilty of my own sometimes, but that is a thing that like whenever technology comes out, so we just got ChatGPT, we're getting Web3. Uh, the idea is that they're ahead already in some capacity. They're not just Apple's not giving you iPhone 13 and not having iPhone 14 ready. That may be an incorrect theory, but they're always kind of. I think that word that it's not the right fit grooming, but that idea of them getting us ready, I think they know more, and I think they are kind of assimilating us to not be so shocked as to what's going to be going on. And
yeah,
I alluded to at the beginning, so I want to hear what you have to think because I will definitely expound on this. strongly believe we're already in the infancy of the metaverse. This is no doubt to me, we're in it. It's not just theoretical. I know people feel otherwise, and that's okay. And totally open to hearing the other side of that. But I think just by virtue of having some form of, this is virtual reality, you and I right now. This is not
Right.
real reality. It's a shared space. We're interacting on it. Anyone can, from any point in the planet, any single human being can interact with us here if they wanted to, if we allow them to. So, in a very large sense, that's the metaverse. It's not fine-tuned. It's not. We haven't defined the galaxies yet. We're really in a bunch of nebula. Like, we're just floating right now, but it's there. This is a prototype galaxies for sure. That's 100% how I feel.
Yeah, it's almost like I don't even know if this is accurate, but I'm gonna say it. It's almost like we are pre-Big Bang. Like like whatever was before the Big Bang, who fucking knows? And who knows if the Big Bang is even a thing? I have no idea. And I really don't even know what the Big Bang is specifically. But so this is why I don't know if this is on point or not. But like, what was before the Big Bang? Like just things, something probably
swirling around. Yeah.
Like, so we're like in that stage right now, and the bang is coming.
Well, I get your analogy, and adding to that, I think you can use the Big Bang, but I think you can go post Big Bang because we're here. So something happened, regardless if you believe in the Big Bang or not. Again, we're not astrophysicists; we're not going to explain that. But in the very general sense, galaxies form that way, right? There's a bunch of stardust that comes out of explosions from stars, basically, and then over time they collect and form planets and asteroids and galaxies based off all that stuff. So I think we're in that frontier of metaverse for us. Like, it's already in process. The bang has happened.
Okay, sure.
Billions of years have happened. Galaxies are formed. There's all these other things. You know, you want to go next level, crazy stuff. I think the metaverse can open us up to real aliens. I think the metaverse will connect us to real aliens. The metaverse could be the technology that sends us to the stars, so to speak. But basically, now all of a sudden we pick up signals from where before we couldn't, you know, right? So I think the metaverse. That's why I'm telling people, it's like, don't try to. I get it. People don't love to live in abstract constantly. I get that you have to ground it in something, but I just don't think we're ready for the perfect definition of what the metaverse is, because it's going to be rapidly evolving. And we are even based on, like I said, 9 out of 10 definitions require virtual reality. But to me, is infancy of virtual reality. This is how virtual reality starts, because we have to understand the concept, right? Shared space with everyone, and it's a digital world that bleeds into the real world. It's all those things. The precursors are there for life. Like, the stew is there. The primordial soup, we're in it. We're in that soup. So, the building blocks are there for the metaverse to take hold. Maybe that could be even better. That we not quite there, but the ingredients are there. Yeah, but I think we're a little bit further along. I do think we're babies in this thing. So we're already kind of heads into it.
Yeah, it's almost like like you said, like the Big Bang happened, and we're just like finding a spot to settle. And create that galaxy around or whatever.
Yeah. In our solar system.
Flying away from it right now, and we're gonna slowly slow down and establish something. One thing, whenever you're talking about all that popped in my head, and I could tell that you were also thinking this way, is like, what, I don't know if you're going quite this far, but think about if we get to the point where our metaverse is able to connect with another galaxy in our real world galaxy's metaverse or whatever.
Totally.
Because like all of the super smart people that I've listened to on random podcasts, not always, but whenever I hear them talking about this subject specifically, it's almost 100% that there's some other life form out there that is like us in some way, at least, and is more likely than not way more advanced than we are. And why couldn't they have created the same metaverse experience? And just like eventually, whenever we get to that point, we
Yeah, we
we
unlock the
we
doors.
find that, oh, we can go into and connect into this galaxy and
Yeah,
explore their metaverse that they've already built out. And like that's like the first time that we actually, like, that's how we meet aliens, is through their metaverse. We're not even actually going to their galaxy. We're just meeting them
yeah, we're
virtually.
like locally. Yeah, I could see that, man. I mean, look, how do you build these digital realities? Through math, right? Code, numbers. They say that that's the like fundamental stuff of the universe. That's how basically humans operate. And I'm not a math person, but I am grateful that we discovered that, and we have people that do that their whole lives, because that's how we get planes and basically everything that we're using, GPS systems, all that good stuff. So using that as the background for the metaverse and creating this stuff, why wouldn't that be some other language out there, a model that the universe uses, like you said, that content? We're definitely in a metaphysical metaverse now. We've definitely segued. This is a great combo, though, because it'd be
Yeah.
hilarious if we broke the news here first. We're basically just looking like a bunch of crazies, which I don't mind, because I love the
Yeah.
abstract, and that doesn't mean I
Sure.
believe that or anything, but it's such a fun thought, right? Yeah, why not? Oh, it's all unbelievable until you see it, and then it's believable, right? So
Yeah.
with aliens being out there, all that stuff, this being a bridge to something else, yeah. I mean, we see it in evolution and things, and now we're going to start interacting with AI in the metaverse. They are, able to do things right now serially better than us. They're not able to do things multiple tasks like we are, but one by one, they're far superior than us.
Mhm.
They help us learn some stuff, and eventually, when they become, if that's possible, sentient or whatever you want to call it, conscious, I don't. Why is that such a big stretch to see them say, "Hey, did you peek behind door number 2?" And you're like, "Well, I didn't." Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't
Well,
know there
see
was a
what's here.
door
Oh, and then
there.
surprise! It's all the gnomes. Damn,
Yeah.
that's cool. They come
Yeah.
pouring out. Yeah, people will be terrified by what this will become, because it really is going to merge with us. What is that word when it's like? I was talking to a friend the other day. He's a good buddy of mine back in LA, and we have philosophical discussions. I don't know why, but we do every once in a while.
Sure.
And we were talking about the new Apple Vision Pro, which is on subject here, and then we were just talking about the hybridization of humans and machines. That's also, I think, in broad
Cyborg.
strokes, part of the metaverse. I think that falls into there, because we're fundamental to the equation of the metaverse. People are, right? This is all happening because we're doing this portion of it. So once we start interacting with the other things, I do think that it's going to get pretty interlaced together. I don't have anything more to expound on that, because it's still, I'm still trying to wrap my head around, but it's going to be so hard to separate those two things. I can already see it with the Apple Pro, of the things like right now I can have it on. I could be talking to you in my peripherals. I could have a huge television with a football game up, right? On
Yeah.
the other side, I can have text coming through. This is like the very first iteration. This is iPhone 1. So it's
Right.
pure crap, but to us, it's like, whoa. But in 15 years, when Apple Vision Pro 15 comes out, man, that
When
thing's going to,
this.
yeah, that's what we were saying. It's going to be contacts, and then it's going to be, who knows,
Yeah.
right? It
Yeah.
gets more and more intertwined with us, to the point where, yeah, it's you'll be walking. I've seen these commercials, and this is why NFTs are so big, right? Because you're walking around, and I have a black shirt on in real life. This does a decent job of displaying. It's probably, if you were in real life, it would look different. I'm not two dimensional. This, yeah, okay, that's pretty close, but the meta will be, I can have an orange shirt over this black shirt, and all you see is the orange shirt, or
Mhm.
a mask on, and I'm pseudonymous. I have my gutter cat on my head, and I'm talking as a cat. And
Right.
so that's the level of yeah, it's going to bring out some really crazy. That could be in the world, because you're going to have the glasses on, and
Yeah.
someone could be walking around as a cat.
There was
or having a huge dick sword in their thing.
bring back
Tickle
the dick
the kids
sword.
under 13, So yeah, it's the hybridization of reality, and that is such a touchy subject. We should just delve into that one day, because I think it polarizes people, and that's something good, because that really fuels discussion when something's polarizing. Is we must be prepared to adopt this. We can try to fight this, and people will, but that's not a good thing. It's progress that, for better or good, we as a collective have created, and yes, we're responsible for it, so we must trust it and kind of guide ourselves with it. But I don't think there's any going back from this, and I understand people want to live alternative lives. Totally fine. There will definitely be people who live on the woods, off the grid, and stuff like that. But a majority of populations will integrate the metaverse. That's how big the metaverse is. Back to what it is. It's going to be the dominant reality almost, where most of humanity operates under. Because you can have someone from Nigeria speaking to me now, and they already are doing this in the Apple Vision Pro. They will be speaking fluent English, translated, but they're speaking Nigerian on their end.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interconnectedness that why would we not incorporate that? And forget it. Imagine in person when I'm speaking to a person from another country, but my goggles are allowing me to get the information. So the metaverse will become the universe. It will be very indistinguishable. Yes, there will be people that live outside of that, this and that. I get that, but it's going to be very interconnected.
Do you think that will come first? Because I almost do.
What will come first?
Like the hybrid metaverse.
Hybridization.
Where like AR is basically taking over in real life. The reason that I believe, actually very strongly now that I'm thinking about it, that we'll get to that first is supporting, from what, at least right now, from my education and what I've read. I'm reading The Metaverse, which is a really good book by what's his name? Matthew Ball. I'm reading The Metaverse by Matthew Ball. It's a very good book. I recommend reading it if you haven't already. Anyone who's listening,
you'll have to shoot that to me later because I'm
I'll put the link in the description too for you guys. But there's like one huge thing that's holding things back is like the computational level of everything, and being able to actually like have the concurrent users interacting, like I was kind of speaking to earlier, where when you do something in the world that happens for everyone kind of thing. But if it's just AR layered over the real world, then everything already will be changing if you're changing it in real life. So I think that'll be pretty easy to get to.
A little bit of a heady concept, but I think it's goes back to what we were saying. So you asked, are we already in the metaverse? I passionately agree that we are, right? And so it's like, when does a hand become a fist? So we're arguing that, right? And then later hybridization will come on, and then you're going to see people living in the metaverse, but it's in reality. And maybe later down the line, it's full whatever. But at each stage, when was the defining line that it became? All along, I think we already have. Yeah, we're in it because the fist is kind of like already formed. It's not like, maybe that wasn't the greatest example, but it's hard to. What the point I was trying to make is, it's hard to distinguish when it actually turns into one and when it's not. And
right.
Metaverse is happening right now. It's like to put a point on it, I don't know, but I think we have all the components, and thus we are in the mix. Because so what happens in the future? The same things that are kind of happening now, just on a much more sophisticated level, in the sense that the meetups will be more sensory experience. They'll be more involved in the reality as well as the digital sense. But all those prerequisites are here now. What don't we have that the metaverse will have? Yes, we're going to find some other things out that we're going to add to the definition, but the core idea of what it is happening right now at the very low end of the spectrum. The high end of the spectrum, but where is that? Where is it? Like, what's the, Web 1, 1999 internet is still internet. It's still the world what we're running on right now. It's just built on. So of course it's going to look different. A human is a human. A baby is a baby, and then a child, adult. So that concept in '92 might have been ahead of its time, but even then, I think the reason he had that word come up because you saw all the ingredients, saw what was happening. You can already point to the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people argue it's not here. It's, you know, years away. I say we're living it right now. You know, we're very much in that 0 point right now. So it's pretty cool to be going through this, because I think the changes are going to come pretty rapidly and fast. And if not like maybe not in like a year or two, definitely in our lifetime. I think it's not even a stretch to say that it's going to be vastly different in by a time where, you know, elderly 65 and able to get a discount at a movie theater. So by then a lot will have changed, and we'll be like, oh, that's the metaverse. And it won't be fair to look back, because it's humanity, still humanity without technology, just a little different point, but it's still kind of all the same thing. And digital assets, digital worlds, interacting with the digital, we're all there. Maybe when the internet was born in 92, that wasn't even there yet, but here in 2023, we're well on our way.
100%, which is exciting to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and pull this up if I can figure out how for the first time. So, yeah, okay, it's working. So let me find it. I think it's in here. Hopefully it's in here. Otherwise, maybe it's in the other one. Damn it. I'm trying to find, there was, let me see if it's in the other newsletter I sent out. So it's shameless plug. If you haven't subscribed to my newsletter that I send out every Monday, definitely do. I send out all kinds of just cool stuff that I come across that's talking about the metaverse. Mostly, every once in a while I'll drop something else in there that I think you guys would be interested in, but basically just things that I've come across and am researching. But I know I put this in here in one of the things, and I cannot figure out where, but it was the reason I'm bringing this up is there's an example of what, here it is. This is like like what will be eventually.
Yeah.
Like that's
already a glimpse of it. But that's my point, right? Okay, we have the theoretical framework, and we can even run that at some primitive level now. So how is that not engaging in the metaverse? Again, unless your strict definition is maybe what we were talking about earlier, is there's one world and there's an infrastructure for that world, and that's the metaverse. I just don't buy that, because that's like too corporate, too capitalistic, of like someone capping digital and reality and saying it's mine. It's this point that I have created, and I will define these borders. It's like, yeah, okay, I don't know. Like, sure, why not? I mean, they've done it with a lot of other things, but think it will be very hard for someone to monopolize that, even though it's like, oh, well, they have the code, they have this and that, open source, decentralization, crypto. There's enough pushback where I think the metaverse will be more than just one company, one infrastructure, one thing. It's a very nuanced front, man. It's exciting. That's why I'm in this whole business. It's like a little more personal, but I love the idea that we have the power. And yes, we get a lot of things from other people, but then we improve on it, and they rely on us. We're around because we might not be the top of the food chain here with, you know, all the money and all that stuff, but they need us for the ideas. They need us to kind of go big or go home. And so I think it will be undefined and kind of like a cool Wild West, so to speak, forever, of infinite possibility and craziness.
Yeah, definitely. And I agree that I don't think there will be, and I hope there won't be a way for any kind of monopolization of the metaverse, because yes, they are all going to have their experiences that are metaverse focused, but that won't be the only thing. And if it does, it has to be off of one of their devices. That would be fucked up, because I mean, right now this will get in the weeds if we go too deep into this, but like the way that like that app store is set up with Apple, it handicaps any kind of accelerated innovation because
Mm-hmm.
they take so much. They take 30% of everything that these studios are making for not much. I mean, yes, they're giving them a baked in
Platform, yeah.
audience and a platform, but like the the fucking greed behind that is
Yeah.
absurd to
Abysmal.
me. Like
Abysmal.
you have the most money. You are the biggest. Like, why are you taking so much money from people still? Like, let them really grow your ego. Like, I think that needs to change.
I think that's another place where the metaverse will really challenge people. It's also going to it's going to be so much easier to mobilize because even now we have all these great advances where we have, social media. I went to an awesome picnic in Central Park the other day because I saw something on TikTok and then I got to meet a bunch of cool people. Obviously this is the real world stuff, but that's facilitated by the digital. We
Yeah.
never had that opportunity. That's how I find all the shows that I go to out here is I see, accounts that are posting stuff. And in the future, in the metaverse, where even if they're monitoring us to their apps and stuff, like there will be ways where people can meet and kind of do their own thing and grow their own ecosystem and create stuff. And that's why I fell in love with Ethereum so much, is because I felt like that was the ethos. We have to still see how it plays out, but that was always the thing. Is just like build now, build whatever you want, do reckless, be this and that. It's all about innovation, and no centralization. That's a really cool concept to me. And I think and I hope that that will be the core of the metaverse, and that's why I'm so against. I'm at this point probably like a broken record against the idea of it being a centralized system of some sorts. Sure, if you want to be idealistic and say humanity, constructs it, but that's very like then
Mhm.
you're back into what I'm saying is it's more loosely fitted. If we need just this one entity organization running this thing or it being defined as such, then I think we are in a world of trouble. So what the metaverse to me is a ever changing, growing world of possibility that already exists because all it requires is the digital bridging with reality, and we have all the
Mhm.
components. So I want to end there on my final thought on that. And what do you think the metaverse is to you? So we went, so I hope we can kind of bring it back in for people.
Yeah.
And our ideas will evolve over time. I'm sure as soon as we get off, someone will be, hey, this and that, we will get there.
Yeah.
But this is
For
where I'm coming to.
for sure. And I think that we're probably aligned a lot on my thought and how I think of the metaverse and you. And we also have obviously different ways to think of it, which you kind of already expanded my thought process on it a lot today. But um, I I also I think the metaverse is somewhere that is open to everyone and having them be the ones that are shaping the world, and it is a creative platform for everyone in their own regards too. You don't have to be the one that's building or designing or whatever. You can just be there enjoying. That's also contributing in your own way to the metaverse, and it's but it's open and you can do whatever the fuck you want. And like, yes, I also do think that there will be ways of regulating it in a way that um, is more so like censoring to a degree where you could say this is, I don't know why I'm getting into the weeds again. We're going to go down into another discussion, but you
Hey, we don't have
could
to go anywhere. I was just
yeah.
trying to bring it back because I think we did such a great job of like exploring a lot of different, and we definitely went in circles on a couple of things, but to wrap it up in where we thought what
put
it
a
is to us right
put a
now
nice
today.
bow
Yeah,
on it. I
no,
mean,
no, there's no such.
but
I think there is no bow on it, but I just where we're at here right now after hearing that, I think I can see what it is to you. I honestly, it gels so much when you go back and listen to that part. What you started saying is what I envisioned you when I first met you and you started talking about the metaverse. It's in line with what you saw the potential of being. And that's kind of what that little line that you liked that I said. And that, what was the thing again? It could be
Explore
whatever
what
you
it
want.
can be.
Right. And that's exactly how we see it as. It may not tickle someone's fancy who likes a very mechanical definition, but I do believe that it is an accurate definition defined by people that love it to an extent that we have a voice in here. And I think that voice is important. I think anybody that has an idea and a concept should come and share, because it is a huge changing world. Dynamic is a great tool for that. So I think the metaverse is very dynamic. And maybe people go, oh, it's a cop out. You didn't, you know. I feel like we got some really strong points across, but yeah, at the end of it, it's like we can't give you the answers. No one can. And so don't try to pin it down too hard, but definitely have your thoughts and views on it, because it is a big part of the way we interact going forward and the way we're interacting right now.
Yeah,
without question.
I think I love one of the reasons I love the metaverse so much is because of the exploration of it. That it feels like we are. I'm blanking on it. It feels like we are Lewis and Clark discovering the United States that we know it today. Well, that's not what they were discovering, but you know what I mean. Like
great. That's a great analogy. That's how you feel like as an explorer out in uncharted territory. It's a perfect example of what it means to be exploring the metaverse. Is one of your huge mottos that I love. And that's why I think this show and going forward, we'll talk after. We're not going to bore people with technicals and stuff, but there's a lot to be desired here that we can do and bring in this element of it as well as you go along with all the other great stuff you've done, because you really have redefined the metaverse yourself right now. You're a living, breathing part of this thing, and you bring your own creativity to it, different shows, different styles, different components, Discord, YouTube, Twitter. I mean, it's proving my point. It's really how do you, and that's also the maddening part, because you're like, well, freak, if I was on this planet, if I did this, and like, it can get crazy. But eventually, the broadcast goes out, and you become the guy, and people kind of follow you through whatever little rabbit hole. You're like, all right, today TikTok, and jump into the thing.
Here we go.
So I think you're doing a really great job of exploring the metaverse and allowing people to see what it can be. And that's what we got to keep doing, just opening people's eyes and having these discussions. When nobody's listening, when 10 people are listening, when 20 people are listening, and enjoying our own process, because we just like to do it.
Yeah.
We had a blast doing this. We have a blast doing it anyway. And we're getting better at it, which is crazy. So at some point, when all those opportunity means timing and all that other jazz, it all just gels, and you're just grateful to be a part of that thing. And I would have told you, as I said, metaverse was a new term that I don't know if it was you that introduced it specifically to me, but the community, the space of crypto in general definitely did. And, when I met you, I can't say for sure. I'm sure I would have had some idea of what it could be, but I'm really exploring it myself now. And I'm excited to get more into it and figure this whole thing out. And I'm a full blown, let's go, let's do it. And I have other people that I talk to, and they're like, no. And, those are great conversations to have. We can definitely have people on here on the other side of the spectrum on all this.
I would love, because naturally the people that come on obviously also are some sort of pioneer and believe in the metaverse, but I would love to chat and hear because I really don't, other than my dad, and I mean, my wife doesn't always get it, but she still kind of gets it. But I think of my dad, he doesn't know what the fuck I'm doing. But he supports it. He's like, hey, cool, you're enjoying it. But
that's a good point, man, too. And that's something that I think you and I should pride ourselves on, because very old saying that's really pertinent is if you know something really well, you can explain it really simply. Something along those lines, right? I think everyone's heard a version of that. And I do think that's true, because it is up to us to help distill this into a more readily available system than it is now, because it is overwhelming. And the developers, the engineers, all those people are doing it on the UI and the front end and all that other stuff that much more difficult to do. But it's important to get people involved and see why it's important to eventually, try this out and do this stuff. And not that it's all bad and not that it's so complicated, because people psych themselves out. They totally psych themselves out.
Right.
It's like, so yeah, I would love to, like, people like your dad and whoever else that may not, just open potentially another door for them. It's not going to be for everyone. You don't want to force it. It's not a gospel.
Right.
I'm not here to preach to you. I'm not here to preach. So certainly,
Yeah.
anything I say, please.
That's exactly how I am.
Yeah, take what I say with a grain of salt, and that's the way I like it. I think that's the best way to approach it. I have my ideas, you have yours, and let's discuss them like people. But
and if you don't care for the metaverse or whatever, then okay, see you later.
All good. But when people do and they show interest and they don't get it, it's like, all right, well, we're here. We got the patience, we got the time, and more importantly, we've done the work to help, because it's always easier. As you do more of the stuff, it's easier to help out the people below you because you have experience, and experience is really important in passing down the knowledge of the hardships that you endure, that hopefully you help them to navigate through, so they don't have to make the same mistakes or get stuck in the same point. If they do, cool too, but definitely always a helping hand is great. So the metaverse and us, it's synonymous, and we should definitely help spread the word. The good word,
Yes. Get out there and preach, knock on doors.
Oh man.
But yeah, I do think that what we're doing is important, and that's why I continue to do it, because it is something that, even though we feel like we understand it to a degree, it is something that is intimidating for a lot of people to even start to accept and start thinking about how they would want to experience the metaverse. And I think that's kind of circling back to everything with exploring what it can be, is that it can be whatever you want it to be. So don't be scared, don't be intimidated. You'll find where you're comfortable at, and that'll be a great place to start, and then you can go from there.
Man, that's an awesome way to put that, dude. That's a really great thought, and that really is a good full circle, because that's how real life is, right? Everyone's got these ideas of what you need to do, where you need to be, who, blah, blah, blah. And look, if you like what people are saying, you do it, and you're happy and whatever. But there's no guardrails to your own life. You can do it, and you can do whatever you want. Your parents want you to be a lawyer. You want to go act. And maybe that's not sound advice, but that's like life. You have your meaning prescribed to it. And that's the same thing with the metaverse, is let's not have limited beliefs on that. And you said it much better, but I really enjoyed that thought of there's that compare and contrast to real life of, you don't have to define life as a certain way. Yeah, there are some basic rules, and we're definitely meeting them. And I feel like the same thing with the metaverse, of which we hit 100 times. Some basic rules, and we're hitting those rules. But now we're in this, let's play some jazz, man. Let's get out there. Let's play some wacky tunes. Whoa, what's over here? Okay, cool. Oh, that's not for you. Cool. I'm gonna go this way, do this, do that, and then it's just gonna reshape what's possible for a further exploration of humanity and digital identities or whatever, because we're really fast approaching an evolutionary point. Totally another discussion for another time. But yeah, the metaverse is a big place, exciting place.
Definitely. And I am super excited to explore it with you and with everyone else that's tuning in, listening, catching the replay, all of that. I'm excited to explore with all of you, because who knows what we're going to find while we do this, and it's going to be interesting each and every week. So make sure you keep on tuning in, and eventually you'll be able to come and hang out with us in the actual metaverse as we do this stuff. So I am ready to kind of wrap up the show here. I just want to say, and for those of you that are listening to the end here, thank you so much for listening all the way through, and I hope you enjoyed that conversation, and you can look forward to more, because I'm sure we'll be doing similar stuff to this in some format in the near future. But I just want to also let everyone know that is a regular watcher of Behind the Avatar, that you are going to be joining the show on a regular basis as basically my Jamie, or Juan Fire, if you guys watch Chris D'Elia, the producer of the show, if you will. I don't know what that title actually even means, so I don't know if that's what your actual role is, but it's a stepping stone in the right direction. A co-host, I feel like, is probably the easiest way to say it, and it's gonna be fun because, like people have probably already found, is that we do have a similar vibe, and we vibe together really well. But you also, one, are really good at keeping me on track, and two, you are also good at giving me other perspectives to look at things. And when we bounce ideas off of each other, it seems to always generate better thoughts from both of us. So I'm excited to see where everything goes with everything.
Listen, me keeping on track is as much for you as it is for me, as you can see. So I'm like, what are we talking about? All right, yep, we're bringing this back. I'm going to hammer this one again, because there's a time and a place for us to riff, and there's a time and a place for us to, bring out what we said we were going to do. And I think we can deliver both types of content for people. That's another thing we'll talk about. So thanks for having me on. Thanks for everybody listening out there. As Crafter said, I mean, you guys being here, that is such a underappreciated, understood concept, is that you are so important just by being here. That's what creates the economy. That's what creates the world, so to speak, because we do it so other people can enjoy this as well. And without you, there is no show. We would do it, but we wouldn't have to film it or anything. We would just talk. And so we're really grateful. Totally, exactly. So we're immensely grateful, beyond grateful. And we're really wanting to reward everyone along this journey and hoping to bring value to you guys as much as we possibly can. So thanks for being here. Thanks for having me on, Crafter.
100%.
I'm looking forward to seeing you real soon.
Hell yeah. And we will catch you guys next week at the same time, same place.
Deuces.
You guys take it easy. See you later in the metaverse. Peace.